Hey guys, hope you're doing okay today. We are going to talk about writing an introduction, body, and conclusion for a literary analysis. So we're focusing on W2, which is informative writing. So we're just going to go through all these steps. Okay, so when you're writing about literature, you can take some different approaches. These are the ones that I think would work for this assignment because it is such a historical book. So historical approach is one, a thematic approach is two, which you'll also use because the question is asking you how does the symbolism contribute to a theme. So you're also going to use a metaphorical approach. You can bring in aspects of biographical information about the author and his family that will help you with this writing piece as well. And then you can also kind of look at the Marxist approach, which examines social constructs, relationships between the oppressed and the oppressor. So the relationship between the Jews and the Nazis, and kind of focusing on those lower classes, that in particular the Jews, with this story. So think about how you can kind of blend those together. More advanced writers, I would encourage you to bring in the biographical, Marxist, and historical approach, as well as the thematic and metaphorical. If you don't feel very comfortable with your writing skills yet, that's perfectly fine. That's why we're learning. Then you would just focus on the thematic and the metaphorical approach. Okay, so in an introduction, and you may not be writing a whole essay for this project, which I'm sure most of you probably won't, but I still want to introduce you to all the aspects of this because you will have to do this in other classes, on the state testing and all that. So the first part of the introduction is the hook. That's going to be the first sentence, maybe two. So you can start with the definition, a surprising statistic, an imagery or description, or a quote. If you're going to use a question, I didn't even put it on there because people tend to use very lame questions. If it's going to be a question, it needs to be very thought-provoking. So then after your hook, then you want to broadly introduce the topic that you're talking about. So in this case, for this project, it would be the symbolism in the book Maus. So in this step, you would probably just talk about the book in general. And then as you get to the bottom, you're more and more clear, and you provide your thesis statement. So this is where you get super specific about what exactly you're writing about. And it's okay if that changes after you do more research and read more, and find out kind of more about what's going on with the theme and the symbolism in the book. So on the introduction, you want to think of it as an upside down triangle. So you start really broad and then you get more and more narrow to the thesis statement. Okay, so here's an example of an introduction. Nathaniel Hawthorne wrote critical stories about Puritan society as a way to cope with the fact that his ancestors were responsible for killing innocent people during the infamous Salem witch trials. So that's my hook. It is a startling statistics. We bring in the Salem witch trials, and right away we know the author is connected to that. He focused heavily on the Puritan belief that the faith and fear of vengeance from God could make people live a better life. He brought the Gothic genre to America in these stories, and he uses symbolism to teach his readers about morality and the flaws of the Puritan society. In The Minister's Black Veil, Hawthorne uses the symbolism of the veil to develop the theme of sin. So your introduction, if you are writing an essay, would look pretty similar to this. So I start out kind of giving with this fact and then get more into detail about the author, and could have even said something about the story, given like a one sentence summary. And then here's my thesis statement. So if you're doing a graphic essay, you still have to have a good, strong thesis statement. So you can kind of look back at this as an example of how to do that. Okay, so when you're writing your body paragraphs, you want to give a topic sentence. This is going to reveal the main idea of that body paragraph. So it's just signifying to your reader what you're going to be proving here or what you're going to be discussing. After that topic sentence, you should have at least 4 or 5 sentences minimum of analysis, evidence, commentary that you'll be using to support what you said in your topic sentence. And then at the end of the body paragraph, you always want to wrap it up with some kind of concluding statement. And once you get better at this, then you can kind of use that sentence to transition into the next main idea. So here's an example of a body paragraph. The imagery, so the thesis statement from the introduction would have been the imagery and overburden symbolizes Ben's desire to relive the past. So I'm talking about a short story here. So at the beginning of the story, Ben and Sarah are traveling back home to Kentucky, and as they get closer, Tomlinson's description of nature foreshadows the desolation that Ben will find. So this is my topic sentence. This is revealing that this sentence is going to be talking about the description of nature. Tomlinson describes Ben as being overwhelmed by nature. Trees are showing the first fall colors, a hint of bright maple reds, coming yellows among the tulip poplars, the rusted orange brown of the oaks. Notice my punctuation. Those are my page numbers. I said the author's name here, so I don't have to say it in the parentheses. This goes back to lesson R1. So if you need to refresh, go back to that lesson. Fall is beginning and nature's death is inevitable. It is beautiful right now, but it will not last. As Ben enters Kentucky, he reminisces about life here and what he has missed. This imagery is a reflection of Ben's adoration of his former life in Kentucky, but as he will soon discover, the past is gone and is unattainable. So here in my concluding sentence, this transitions into my next paragraph. This is what I was talking about. My next paragraph is going to be about the past being gone and unattainable. Okay, so then a conclusion. Restate your thesis, but use different words. Don't just copy what you put in the introduction. Take into account everything that you've discussed and what you've proved. Then you sum it up and leave the reader with something to think about. So this could be a question, implications, or like effects, or some big idea that this all connects to. Okay, so for your mastery check, you are going to pick a topic. It can be anything, but I would suggest using a topic that's going to relate to your project. You're going to write a thesis statement, write one topic sentence, like a would-be body paragraph of that essay that's not really being developed into an essay, and then support that topic sentence with one piece of evidence. So you would need to find an article. You can use something from the literature list as your support, but I really want you to focus on citing it correctly. So like I said, from the lesson from R1, and then saying something about it. So how does the support you put here connect to the main idea? What's it proving, or what comes after that? Okay, so you're going to do this for your mastery check. If this is probably going to take you a lot longer than typical mastery checks, because this is such a hands-on skill that you really just have to practice to show me that you can do it. So if you get stuck, let me know. Let your peers know, and we can help you master this skill.